Brazil-Africa Forum 2020 and you are watching the best moments here at Voxafrica.
Brazil-Africa Forum 2020 gathered virtually on November 3rd and 4th. The annual flagship event of the Brazil-Africa Institute focused this year on the theme Overcoming the Challenges of the Pandemic. What's next? This was a call to action in these unprecedented times of COVID-19. Professor João Boscomonte, President of the Brazil-Africa Institute, gave welcome remarks to the 8th edition of the forum. He emphasized on the enthusiasm for uniting Brazil, Africa, and third nations for constructive conversations.
The genesis of this forum, since its first edition, we are now the 8th, is to bring Brazilians and Africans, but much more than this, people from other regions in the world. Right?
Focus on the pandemic's aftermath. The forum connected high-level authorities and specialists to discuss global health, national health systems, economic recovery, trade and finance, international cooperation, science and technology, vulnerable communities, poverty and hunger, regional experiences, local responses, the new norm, and future scenarios. Dr. Naledi Pandor, Minister of International Relations and Cooperation of South Africa, addressed the distinguished delegates on behalf of His Excellency, President Cyril Ramaphosa. She has made it clear that there is still a bright side to this pandemic.
Let us also bear in mind that this pandemic has also provided a rare opportunity to reimagine the continent in the post-COVID-19 era. For example, it has forced Africa to find new ways of addressing challenges.
The ambassador of the Republic of Ghana to Brazil, Abena Busia, spoke on behalf of His Excellency, President Nana Akufo-Addo. She confirmed that priority was to be put on science, technology, and innovation in a global collaborative effort.
In moving forward, priority attention must be focused on science, technology, and innovation to create the necessary ecosystems for economic growth and diversification. The search for a vaccine has made the urgent case for countries to prioritize research and development into various therapeutics and modern medicines to safeguard against any future pandemics and epidemics. This will require collaborative efforts between the universities, the orthodox and traditional medical research institutions, and the private sector in the global health area.
She highlighted that the African Continental Free Trade Area implementation is critical for the economic transformation of the continent.
Governments should prioritize trade and investments in a timely manner to mitigate against the effects of pandemic. And the Continental Free Trade Area, which will become operational in January 2021 with its headquarters in Ghana, will be critical to the economic transformation of the continent as it explores strategic partnerships with other regional groupings and countries, including Brazil, within the framework of South-South cooperation.
A key talking point was the connection between poverty and health. Dr. Denis Mukwege, Nobel Peace Prize laureate 2018, has explained how humanitarian crises are aggravated by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Nous pensions avoir la maîtrise de notre destin, mais avec la COVID-19,
we believe we are masters of our destinations in our phase, but with COVID-19, it's showing us that we do have a lot to learn with respect to our humanity especially with regards to the pandemics.
Alleviating hunger in a global scale was also a focus of the dialogue. Gilbert Huangbo, president of the International Fund for Agricultural Development, gave an insight on the matter.
What we have done is to create a stimulus package, which we put $40 million, and now our member states, some of our donors have also put equivalent of somewhere the same amount to use that in the countries that are mostly affected and that we know are already the poorest country in the world.
During the Brazil-Africa Forum 2020, the following outcomes were reached from deliberations. On the global health issue, increasing large-scale cooperation, strengthening global coordination, and improving international communication will lead to positive results for the future.
From next year on, we will not go back to where we were, Brazil.
I think it would be important to figure out a way in which to reignite cooperation through the African Union, of course, between Brazil and other Latin American countries with Africa. There's a lot to learn, not simply from managing pandemics. It's about managing different things we do.
International cooperation is very important for us.
For me, it's really putting the people at the center of the transformation, the people at the community, the women and the youth, and investing really in that in that kind of system.
Sharing knowledge is the critical aspect here.
Everything related to hospitality in Africa, which was a driver of growth before this pandemic, with each and every country having a plan to develop because of the social impact and the impact on the SMEs of those sectors, and because they are so necessary, if you take airlines, for instance, to the growth because of their very important externalities. So let's not write off those sectors. I think there will be a lot of M&A, a lot of consolidation, and they will recover.
This crisis has demonstrated supply chains can be disrupted quite badly, and therefore there is a need for most geographies to try to respond by creating synergies around them for essential goods.
We do require capital in order to tackle the challenges of the post-COVID period.
International cooperation has been a key factor on mitigating the impacts of the pandemic. So let's talk about technical and scientific cooperation in many areas now.
Technical and scientific cooperation is identified to be key. Connecting global institutions and national agencies to share knowledge, technologies, and good practices is vital.
I'd say my hope is that given the struggle that we're all facing, and in some ways there's populism, in some ways we're united, there's an understanding of how incredibly powerful technological cooperation, science will be going forward in order to get everybody up to the same level, and so that we stop seeing these inequalities, and also on the sustainability front that we do this in the right way going forward.
We know that this transformation is rising Africa. It will be equitable. It will be, many times it'll be honest. You may still stumble along the way, but you will find reliable partners in many places in Africa, and you will find leaders who will be very fair in managing partnerships. But I think a fair price, fair trade, and the vibrancy of the private sector is literally taking Africa to the next level.
And we have the technology available, the will, the political will, as well as the partnerships in order for us to do that by leapfrogging and being able to do things that mean that we don't have to go through all the steps that other countries have gone through.
The pandemic has seen different impacts and contrasting responses in each region, as political and economic realities vary and impose specific challenges to local societies. Is there a common ground among all these experiences, and is it useful for future needs?
But the good news, all the negative expectations people had of Africa did not happen, and I think the rest of the world could learn from Africa in the way that was the virus.
Governments should respond by increasing the level of production in the continent. The free trade agreement is very important in that respect, so it's a step in the right direction, but there needs to be a very significant focus on providing more done in Africa.
So I think there are some value chain that we can create in Africa without any complexity in agribusiness, essentially.
As a result of the pandemic, the fiscal space in many countries has reduced a lot.
And I think I'm hoping that going forward, many African countries will understand the level of risk management, the importance of innovative financing, so you don't have to wait for the rest of the world to bring in the financing to deal with a particular pandemic. It's also highlighted, in my view, the importance of contingency planning across Africa.
It's all an issue of changing the mindset, and this crisis have helped accelerate the change in the mindset that we needed as Africa.
Now it's time to think on small and medium enterprises, technology and blockchain.
Access to financing is a key concern for SMEs. It's even more of a concern in the current COVID environment.
Many SMEs do not have access to financing because they don't have a good track record. They don't have a good, trusted data.
Advice would be to leverage technology platforms that are providing, enablers for trade, enablers for marketing, enablers for logistics, in a way to bridge any gaps that they have.
So the issue in funding SMEs is not that the money is not there. It's the fact that people don't know how to price the risk. And for me, blockchain is really a fantastic solution because it can help really build the trust in helping people price the risk of SMEs accordingly.
Africa is the future. Women in Africa is even more the future. We must invest in women, we must invest in SMEs, we must invest in our youth, but we must, more importantly, invest in our continent and believe in our continent.
The 2020 edition of the forum was jointly organized with the Southbridge Group and brought Brazilian investors closer to the African opportunities. The 2 days event was concluded by a strong message on solidarity by Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, Director General of the World Health Organization.
We must work together. Economic recovery will not be possible unless we control the pandemic and protect people's health. As business and thought leaders, entrepreneurs and investors, you have a key role to play. Contribute to ending this pandemic in any way you can, be it through local production capacity, community support, in-kind or financial contributions. Work with public health authorities and the business community to put in place appropriate protocols, preparedness measures, and business continuity plans. Stay informed about the facts and invest in workplace safety measures, including care for mental health. Stress and mental health issues can be major factors in reduced productivity, and this pandemic is putting a huge strain on all of us. By acting together in solidarity, we can bring this pandemic to an end. I thank you. Obrigado.